Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with 5 burning questions. I'm like Jim Rome. Jim Rome is burning. Tyler Jones is burning with the questions that are on the minds of Seahawk fans as we enter the second to last week of the regular season. We will break that all down coming up in just a moment. Before we do, folks, if you want the Seahawks to make the playoffs, here's what I need you to do. Like the video. Don't jinx it. Make sure to do our part to get the Seahawks in the big dance. Let's not take any chances. Don't maybe come find you because you didn't like today's video. Hit the like button. We'll get started with today's show. Question 1. What is Pete Carroll's future beyond 2023? You know, I look at where the Seahawks are at right now. We mentioned right in the thick of the playoff hunt. 8-7, holding on to that final playoff spot. 2-game winning streak. They've played some good football the last couple of weeks. But if you watch this team closely and see how they're winning games, they're not winning because of Pete Carroll. In fact, quite the opposite. They're winning in spite of their head coach, Pete Carroll. I go back to that game a couple weeks ago against the Philadelphia Eagles. And Pete made some boneheaded decisions when it came to how they managed the clock and timeouts. I mean, they're lucky that they had enough time in that final possession to go get that touchdown score because he did not give that offense any favors with how he mismanaged his timeouts and the clock in that game against Philly. And, you know, there's been questions about how Shane Waldron has handled this offense and Clint Hurt with what he's done with his decision-making when it comes to play calling and the defense here. What's the future for this Seahawks team? I think, honestly, even if they make the postseason here, the game has passed Pete Carroll by. The Seahawks are better off with a fresh start. Maybe Pete takes on a different role and stays within the organization. He's done a lot for this team. You know, we love Pete. He's been awesome. But I think it's time for a change. I really do. And if you're the Seattle Seahawks, how do you handle that with Pete Carroll? What do you do about Pete Carroll, or is he ultimately going to be back? If I had to guess, I still think Pete Carroll's going to be back next year. But I think it's best for Seattle if they find another alternative and start to turn the page on that next chapter, especially if they bring in a new quarterback, which we'll have more on that here in just a second. Let's ask you guys first, our pinned comment today. Should Pete Carroll return to the Seahawks next year? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comments section and tell us if you think Pete Carroll should be back in Seattle or not. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You pick 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking passing yards, fantasy points, receiving yards, and more. And you can mix and match different leagues, NFL, college football, NBA, and more. This week, since we're going to be live, not just for the Seahawks-Steelers game, but also the Washington-Texas game, I decided to mix and match a little bit. I got Michael Penix of our Washington Huskies having more than 2.5 passing, rushing, or receiving touchdowns. And I got DK Metcalf having more than 58.5 receiving yards. That put him at over 1,000 for the year. If we put $20 down on this, it will turn into $60 on Prize Picks if both of them hit. So play along with us. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Check it out. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Question 2, Jamal Adams. What do the Seahawks do about Jamal Adams and his future? Look, I think we all know deep down inside, with the play that we've seen from Jamal Adams this year, it's time. It is time to turn the page and move on. But it's a messy situation in how you go about this because of how much he counts against the cap. It's not going to be cheap. But what we've seen from Jamal Adams, and the statistics back this up, he's a liability. He's not the same player he was. The Seahawks have played better the last 2 weeks without him on the field. And we know about in coverage how much of a problem he is that he can't cover a nosebleed, right? This Seahawks team, I hate to say it, has to move on. It hurts, especially when you are looking at a Seahawks team that would have to give up that money, pay a player not to play for you. I understand that's not a cheap move, but this would be the necessary move for this Seahawks team. The numbers from PFF this year, I mean, look at it. I mean, he's a one-trick pony. He could pass rush all day, but can't cover, struggles in run defense, struggles overall. He's going to be remembered as in the likes of Clay Bennett and Brian Bosworth and some of those other Seattle sports figures that people don't think too fondly of over the years, right? That's how Jamal Adams is going to go down. That trade was the worst trade we've ever seen in the history of this franchise. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality, and Seattle's got to do something better than Jamal Adams here. Number 3, speaking of future plans, what did the Seahawks do about Geno Smith after this upcoming season? There's too many good quarterbacks for the Seattle Seahawks to pass up on. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a place for Geno on this team next year. Think about this. Geno this year has played good enough for this Seahawks team to be in contention. They're on the verge of making the postseason again, right? Geno's done a decent job this year. 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. He hasn't played as well as he did a season ago, but he hasn't played bad. But I think it's been very obvious that when it comes to Geno Smith, that he's not the long-term solution. He's not the long-term plan. Now, as I've stated many times in this program previously, this is a historically good quarterback class in 2024. Now, we don't know for sure if Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers, if they're going to come out in this draft. But you look at Bo Nix and Michael Penix, Jayden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. Those guys will likely be available when the Seahawks pick. Caleb Williams and Drake May are expected to be the first 2 quarterbacks off the board. If I'm the Seahawks, in a perfect world, I go ahead and bring Geno back. And I go ahead and draft his replacement, let him sit under him, learn how an NFL offense works, and then go from there. And I think that's the best bet for this Seahawks team is, preparing for your future, but still keeping Geno around to get ready for that next step. So, should the Seahawks bring back Geno next year? HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Do you like the idea of running it back with Geno Smith? Let us know what you think. Folks, we're talking Seahawks football every day on the channel with daily news and rumors. We do our live shows on Wednesdays, watch parties, Q&A mailbags, and more. And the best part about it, it's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. If you are a diehard Seahawks fan, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now, turn on notifications so you never miss a moment for the latest happenings in your favorite team. We got you covered. Number 4, Tyler Lockett. I love Tyler Lockett. Every Seahawk fan, every one of the 12s loves Tyler Lockett and what he's done for this team over the years. But how much does Tyler Lockett have left to offer? It's been a down year for Tyler Lockett. And if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you have a tough decision to make about his future and have to figure out if he's still worth keeping around. Because you think about it, Tyler Lockett this year, the numbers, he's probably not going to get to 1,000 yards on the year for the first time in a number of years. And JSN played so much better in the second half of this year. DK has had a nice few weeks despite all the personal foul penalties and all that. And the money that you have to spend on other positions, you're not getting any younger on that defense. Is it worth keeping Tyler Lockett around for a price that has him around 2 years, $15 million per of these next couple years left for Tyler Lockett? That's a lot of money that is left owed to Tyler Lockett right now. So is he willing to take a pay cut? Do you extend him and shift that over, some of that to some signing bonus? Or do you try to trade him and get something out of him while you can? That's a tough decision. And I would love, in a perfect world, for Tyler Lockett to be a Seattle Seahawk, to retire with this team. That's the other thing. He's talked about retiring early in his career. How much longer does Tyler Lockett want to play? Those are all questions that need to be figured out. But if you're the Seahawks, I think you need to get in a position here pretty soon. You need an answer. 1, Tyler, do you want to be here? And if you do, are you willing to play for less? Because if not, we got to start looking at other options. Last on our 5 burning questions, entering week 17 for Seattle, Jordyn Brooks. What about an extension for Jordyn Brooks? We have seen him in 2023 come back from a torn ACL that only took him 8 months to recover. he lost the green dot, right? With Bobby Wagner coming back, he became the leader of that defense again. But that didn't slow down Jordyn Brooks. He is having the best season of his career. And as far as I'm concerned, if I was the decision maker for this Seahawks team, I would say that you got to lock him down and you got to keep him around for this Seahawks team. I know the tackle number is down, but Bobby was a big reason why that number went down. But the sacks, this was a guy in Jordyn Brooks that never was known as being much of a sack guy. He's at 4.5 this year. He's been getting after the quarterback. He's been making plays. Jordyn Brooks has been fun to watch. I understood why the Seahawks didn't give him that fifth-year option. But you look at his projection, according to Spotrac, somewhere in the range of 4 years, $55 million. I can live with that for Jordyn Brooks. And think about Bobby. We don't know about how much longer he's going to go. Devin Bush sure as hell ain't the answer there. Jordyn Brooks, I think it's your one long-term bet when it comes to that linebacker position for years to come. So I would give Jordyn Brooks a new deal and like to see him stick around in Seattle for a bit. Should the Seahawks sign Jordyn Brooks, re-sign him? Let us know what you think. S for sign, P for pass, or would you let him walk in free agency? Let us know what you think in the comments section. If you enjoyed today's show, you want to see the Seahawks team in the postseason, like today's video, we certainly appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.